Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we have the top 16 deck list for the Too Many Games Con Dragon Ball Super Regional that happened this past weekend. It was hosted by PPG. It had 110 players with a 4-player top cut on day 2. And if you guys want to see any of the matches that they covered, make sure to hit the stream link in the description. There is a VOD there. There's also a link to it in this document, which is also linked in the description if you guys care for it. And yeah, really exciting to see a Dragon Ball Super Regional. We don't have a lot going on right now, which is a real shame because the BT17 meta is so good. We see a huge array of leaders right here. But yeah, we're going to go over each leader that topped. We're going to see the top list of each one. But real quick, looking through this, we do have our top 16. So we have 5 Gammas, which if I was to play in this event, the Gamma list that I posted a couple of days ago was the one that I'd run. So at least I'd have a shot at top 16, I think, with that list, since a lot of people, it was really similar to a lot of lists that topped. Not that I think Gamma is more of a player list than necessarily a deck list there. It pretty much builds itself, and you need to make your small decisions and kind of go from there. And then, you know, if you're a really good player, you're really good with the deck. You also do have the Trunks and Vegeta getting 4 tops, which it hasn't seen a lot of tops lately, but it has seen a little bit more this time. 2 Cooler, which I think a lot of people thought was really good at the beginning of the format. I still think it is good, but I think people are kind of figuring out how to play against the deck a little bit, so it's down to 2. 1 Bulma, which ended up winning the event too. We'll get to that soon. Super Saiyan 3 Reboot got top 4. A Universe 7 Goku, an Expert deck Cell still taking it top 16s, and then a Spaceship GT, which I think was probably one of the strongest decks that people thought were going to come out of this format. It's still good, but obviously I think underperforming a little bit, but a top 16 is still pretty good. So with that, let's go to our first place list. So here's Danny Wynn's first place Red Bulma. Now, I'm not going to be the expert on this list, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be making a video for it. So if there are any videos for any of these lists, like I do, I will put the video in the document as well. So you make sure to check that out for links to probably better explanations of these decks. These are going to be pretty surface level for you guys, but Bulma's been pretty, I don't know, people see it and it gets used every once in a while. It has a lot of potential to get a lot of value off of its skills. If you don't remember how it is a 5k leader, but it has a permanent that all your red and yellow Saiyans and Earthling cards in your battle area gain blocker, which is quite nice. And then also you can just active main, draw 1 card, so you almost always want to awaken on your own turn, so you can draw the card, then you do the awaken. And then on the backside, it has the same thing as a 10k leader, and then all of your same thing for the blockers for permanent, and then just activate main, you get to draw 2, you don't even have to swing for it. And so that's like, for Awakening, you get to draw 3 and untap 2, which is quite good. And the permanent to give all your cards blocker have a lot of lasting effects as well. So there's some small synergies for it. I'd say one of the strongest cards for this is the Videl Miraculous Aid. So this is Saiyan in all areas, but also if your leader card's a red Bulma and you choose 1 red or yellow Saiyan or Earthling card in your drop area, place at the bottom of your deck. When you play this card, choose up to 1 red or yellow Saiyan card at any cost of 3 or less in your drop area, then add it to your hand, which means you get to put this Raditz into your hand, which means you get to get super combos back, which is really good. You can also extend this further by using the Aandroidd 17 Rebel Reinforcement. So negate the attack, play this card, then choose up to 1 red battle card with any cost of 1 in your drop area, and you get to play that as well. So you get to bring back the Videl, which brings back a super combo. It actually brings back 2 because it puts 1 to the bottom or 1 into your hand. And obviously there's more than just the super combo you can get with that, but that's obviously like the strongest one out the gate, and that's really, really strong. Another card to consider that gets added to this is the Baby Juvenile Parasite. So if your leader card is red and all your energy is in rest mode, your leader card gets plus 1k power. So that does help you. You can tap out. You'll have a lot of blockers on the board, and then as well you're able to make your leader 11k, which is kind of important for when you're only at 10k, being able to they have to swing with 15Ks anyways to start doing damage to you. Also, active main plus 1 draw card, then choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and place it underneath you. Get the plus 10k on this. So good removal, card advantage, everything. It's just a solid unison that people have been, eyeing for a little bit, and I think Bulma is a great one to take advantage of it. So pretty much that's the idea. You just make a lot of blockers, get a lot of value. The Bulma is able to get some things. The My King Piccolo's Underling is such a fantastic card, only because it's a 1-drop with barrier. So it's a 1-drop barrier blocker that also draws a card that also prevents dimension magic. So this is a good in-deck, answer to a lot of things. We see some cute stuff like the Baba and bandages. Like the Baba lets you choose a bandages from your deck and then put it into your drop area, and then you get to play it from your drop area. So you pretty much pay 1 to get 2 blockers out, which is good. You don't do the rest of this for the spike engine, but it is really cute. I do remember seeing that. You can play this for 1. It's very easy to get bond 3, and then pretty much the idea of this is you just play your secret rare to do the damage and just kind of end from there. So it's kind of like a launch deck in a lot of ways too, where you just get a lot of value, a lot of card draw, and you're a leader with less than the normal power levels. But man, when it goes off, you're like, what do? You have like 3 Mai's out, barrier blockers. You have like your opponent has like 20 cards in their hand. It's very, very strong to go with. So I really like this deck. I think it's very good, and I'll probably be testing it a little bit to see what my own personal thoughts and theories on it. So congrats to Danny for the win there. And then next up, we're going to go to the second place list. So this is Eon Hill's Future Trunks and Vegeta. This is I'd say also the spiciest list for the leader as well, because it is a yellow blue. You do use the Bojack's effect. So if you have a Bojack Brigade in your energy, you can reduce the combo cost of this card by 1 and negates energy exhaust in all areas. So that's pretty easy to do. So you just charge this turn 1, and then you can turn it into a blue-yellow. I'm surprised that they didn't put the there's like the Bojack negate you can use as well, and you can charge that, and then you can get some effects. But I think it works, especially since then you get Bean. And when I've been playing yellow a lot, I've been playing yellow a lot lately, and the biggest issue that I've found is that you have a lot of good effects, and then you never have enough energy to use it because you're almost always tapping out for your big boys and stuff. So I think being able to run Sensu Bean in a list like this can be very strong. There's some consistency issues with it too, but I think in general it's a very powerful game plan. And again, being able to put Bean on something like the Super Saiyan 2 Goku or Gohan, which will have triple attack and will be a 30k with a Bean, or even your Trunks, which is already a dual attack, and just your leader too, and being able to tap and get some additional things. So with the greediness of being able to be energy centric, you can run the Bergamo, which means that you can tap extra, and then you have the Rose as well, which is really good for recurring value throughout the game. And that's all I really have to say. Yeah, Trunks is in a good spot, I think, yellow in general. Since the ban list, it didn't really get hit by anything. It didn't see an immediate kind of effect from a lot of that, but I think right now it's in a good spot. And yeah, this can be really obnoxious and very value heavy as well. And that's just kind of the meta that we're in. A lot of decks just get a lot of card draw, a lot of value, and this kind of capitalize from that. So here is this list. Congrats to Eon for the second place. And going next, we do have third place, or I guess top 4. We have Jose Nguyen's SS3 Reboot. If you didn't see the match also with Jose versus Eon, definitely recommend watching that one. It was a lot of back and forth with I mean, you guys know how that ends, I guess, from this video, but it's very, very close, and I highly recommend watching it. It's a good match, and the finals match too. Don't get me wrong, but this was also a great match to watch. So we've seen Gamma do very well, and this is not the original Gamma, because the original SS3 is, but SS3 Reboot I think is still in a good spot. There's a lot of, I'll just say, obnoxious cards, especially since a lot of the early aggro, such as the King Piccolo and the Gogeta Xeno, they are not in the game. At least if they are in the game, they're not as powerful as they used to be. And pretty much if you get to 3 or 4 energy, you're in a really good spot. So there are the Gohan's baby minion. There's the Vegeta ready to rumble. Both these can just prevent your opponent from having more turns. We have the Super Saiyan God Son Goku Miraculous Transformation, which is great. And I don't know, you just get to 6 energy very quickly, and then you just do mean things while slowly building your opponent's board, making sure they can't attack you at all unless they want to lose a lot of resources for it. And it's a very, very grindy deck that I think is good in a lot of situations. So here is the list here. I think it's strong. I don't think I went over the sideboards for either of these decks. I don't think there's anything that's too... The Frost Deadly Poison is definitely a quick... is a callback at least. It's a very strong card. Very interesting to see that there. And nothing I'd say too crazy in here. Broly is such a good card if you're in the right deck. I think that would probably be sided most times. Deborah makes sense. The Bardock Strategic Mind, getting 3 markers to your red unison. I think that's strong, but I mean, I guess it'd be only for the Vegito. To give the additional markers so you can do the -5 or something, because you're not using it for the baby. But anyways, all right, I digress. We're gonna go to the next one. So next is Justin Rios's Gamma. There are a lot of Gamma lists in this event, so do not I'd recommend checking them all out. There are, a couple decision points for it. I'd say most of them, probably run over half of the same cards, and then there's a couple decision points from there. Some of the main ones to consider are the secret rare. So your baby hatch, I think, is the better one of the two, but it's pretty close. A lot of people are also running the green Majin Buu, since you do have that blue-green energy active to you, and it can still unisons, which is very powerful and can be like a hatch. And since you're mostly going to have enough memory energy to do your things anyways, it's in a really good spot. We also have like which unison you want. I personally like the Android 1718 more, just because it lives. The hit unison is a really interesting choice, and it's good in some matchups, but sometimes it just dies because it only has 3 markers on it, and your opponent can take care of it. So I like Android 1718, especially since it's searchable off the 1415 Ravengers. But if you're already running Android 13, which looks for a blue unison with specified cost of 2, I would think you'd almost want to like at least side a hit or 2 in it. But Goku Apes also usually like a 50-50 card. Sometimes you don't want to run it because you don't want to find it in your energy off your Gamma top deck energy, but it's very good to make sure you have uses for all the energy you're going to be having. And from there, you can run Trunks and you can run the Baby Golden Adventure, but that only works on your turn because of the auto of the leader on the backside, so you have to be careful with that. Majin Buu, I think, is a strong card too, if you want to be more of a rampy, like I guess more mid-range control. It gets a lot of value, and everyone knows that. So it's been good for a year. It's been out for like a year. It's like in every blue deck since it's been released, so it's probably a pretty good card. And then just pretty standard from there. Android 17 Turning the Tide is in the main and the side. There's also Android 15. I like this guy in the main just because you can play it off energy and you can kind of recycle it from there. It's like a +1 in a lot of ways because you get to cycle the energy afterwards. So I don't know. I like it, and it gets rid of some obnoxious things, though sometimes the 2 energy is a little much. But this is Justin Rios' list. There are, again, a lot in the document, so if you want to check them all out, I definitely recommend doing that. And next up, we do have the Universe 7 Goku. So this is Eric Hill's Red U7. I don't have a lot to say about this deck because there hasn't been a lot of changes in this since it's been released. I'd say the largest change, or at least the decision point, are the baby juvenile parasites, as we've seen in the Bulma. These cards are good, so people are running it. It's either this or Jiren, and it's up to you, and you can do even a half and half, but I think a lot of people are doing this. We are teching in the Goku Pan, especially since this can be played from underneath the leader, so that's kind of nice, and adding the extra markers. And then everything else, I'd say, is pretty standard. Universe 7 is more of a player's list, so you have to be a good player to play it well. But it's a good deck. I think it's pretty much topped every event since it came out. More or less, it's probably like missed 1 or 2, but it is such a good deck, and I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. So here is their list, and congrats to Eric on their finish. Next up, we do have Trevor Barnes' Ultimate Cell. This one is I don't have a lot to say about this one either. I'm going to be honest. It's the same thing in the sense that you buy 2 ultimate decks and then you add a couple extra cards of spice, and that's it. Which there's nothing wrong with that in any way. You do have to play this deck well. You do have to know your outs. A couple interesting choices are the Wretched Regeneration and the Perfect Force Cell. And maybe I need to try this out some more. When I've tried this out previously, it just always sat in hand and never did anything. But it's a strong boy, so there's something there. And then there's also Cell and which one? Oh, the Goku. So when you come with this card from your drop area, you get to choose one green, yellow. Oh no, that's not it's the activate main. Yeah. So if your opponent has 4 or more energy and you have a Cell card with 4 or more costs in play this card from your hand. If you do, switch up to one of your opponent's cards to rest mode. You can't play this card for the rest of the turn. So it's just like a free like wham. You put it down, you tap out their energy, and then they're feeling bad about it. So I think this is a good list. I think the only thing is that I don't think hand destruction does really well in best of 1 pre-side because everyone's going to see that Cell. They're going to put all their Debors in there, and then you're just going to give them free value a lot of the time. So that is my only thing about having hand destruction in a best of 1 pre-side. We've been in a best of 1 not pre-side for the majority of the last 2 years, which means hand destruction has done, I think, quite well. And without that, and with some silver bullets that are really easy to tech in, especially in yellow decks, which Trunks is doing well with right now, I think that's something you have to consider, though. But I think Cell's still fun. I think it's a good spot, and congrats to Trevor for their finish there. Next up, we do have Amani Edwards Cooler. I think this is a, again, it's moderately hand destruction. It's not very heavy into the hand destruction, but there is some. I mean, we already see the Toas. We see the Cooler, Sibling Cruelty, and then also, what else? We just see it. There's no ribs in this. So the other one has rib hands in it, but the Cells Earth Destroying Kamehameha. So we also just see, immediately hand destruction from the 1-drop Frieza Galactic Dynasty, which as long as you have three or more markers, you get to discard one from your opponent's hand. Some people are playing Vados. Amani is not one of them, but that is his choice. They are running the Demigra, which I really do like this unison. Even though he's dead late game, he is like the best turn one because you set it down and then you just are almost guaranteed to start your Empower chain if you see this. So it's such a good unison to start the game off with. It just kind of stinks that it's kind of dead afterwards, but you can almost always like combo it off with the Activate Battle later in the game too. So it's not really dead in your hand, but I do like the add for it. But yeah, I think this is still a strong list. I think people are kind of figuring out how it works and what to play against it. But sometimes just knowing about that isn't enough to actually stop it from going off. And I think people will still be playing cool. I don't think it's going to be as good as it was at the start of the meta, but there are some really good choices and plays with it. So the last deck of the day, we do have Frank Miller's Spaceship GT. And I think I've said this kind of earlier. I think Spaceship is fine. I think it's probably I think U7 Goku is just better than it, honestly, still. It's not, there's, I don't know, how do I say it? I think it's a good deck. I think Red's in a weird spot of where King Piccolo existed as the best red aggro deck for a very, very long time, where it was to a point where if you were going to play red aggro, it was King Piccolo or Universe 7 Goku. And then Piccolo got nerfed, which is not dead still, but like it's not as good. And so Universe 7 Goku I think is like the best red deck by a long mile. So you can still play this list, and I think Frank did a fantastic job getting top 16 with it. And I just don't think people have been playing this as much because I think U7 Goku is just consistently a better list in a lot of ways. But there are some cool janky things you can do with this. Difference of status, as it's been bought out before, can get rid of a very obnoxious card, or for 0 on a deck that has a unison with like 20 markers on it. There's some cool stuff with it. There's also ways to flood the board, and it's kind of like in the same thing with King Piccolo. Except it's underneath the unison, not from the life. And that's the kind of idea with that. I do have a question about this Krillin unison. I don't know why it's run. I would almost think that Raditz would be run. So unless you just, I guess you awaken really, really early, right? So if you, for Life or Less, or you have a unison of 7 or more markers on it, you can get to this guy. So I guess that's probably it. It's just the best from that. You don't get to put it underneath your unison though, because he doesn't have rejuvenation, but it could just be a testing. You're like, I've been at 5 life for a lot of the time. I'd rather just get a 10k no matter what. And then I'm almost always going to have a unison play. So this is like live turn 1, so I get that, and that's probably the reason for it. But it was interesting, and I don't think you used the rejuvenation effect for it. It'd be great if you could, but you can't because it doesn't have the rejuve to put it underneath and get that. But or no, you just place it. Oh yeah, you do, and then you get to add a marker to it, right? No, you just put it underneath it. Yeah, never mind. You don't do that. It'd be cool if you could, and then could you? I don't know. I probably shouldn't be looking at the cards like this, but I don't think there's a way to play it from underneath the unison. I think all the cards have to kind of specifically say so. But side deck is pretty standard, except for the gigantic meteor. This is super fun. So it's cost 1, and then you can either KO a bunch of cards, or you get leader or unison gets plus 15k for the battle with its skills negated. I don't think you can do that with Spaceship, right? You can't attack, yeah. But imagine. But yeah, it's kind of like a what is it, the Realm of the Gods, I think, in a lot of ways. But being able to potentially pop things too, I think, is nice because you do have that red Saiyan leader. But that is the list. That is the last list of the day too. So thank you again to PPG for giving me these lists to give to you guys, and congrats to all of the top 16. Again, if you guys want to see the deck list, they are linked in the description of this video, as well as the PPG Twitch channel, which has the VODs of the tournaments if you guys want to see the matches. But that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.